This edition of One Play Wednesday is a look at Dameon Pierce's ridiculous 20-yard run against the Jaguars, who are a physical defense, young, fast, aggressive. I've been watching a lot of Jaguars film as the season has begun, and I'm impressed, and which only makes me, incredibly blown away by what Dameon Pierce was able to do. Now the yards per carry, 26 carries, 99 yards weren't great. The Jags have a stout defense, particularly their run defense. Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Arden Key, Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd. They got some real pieces in their front 6-7 group. Dameon Pierce went in there and just took the game over. This first run, well, we're going to show 3 runs, okay? But before we do, let's look at some of the stats just real quick. I'm going to try to do this for One Play Wednesday occasionally for if there's fans who are unfamiliar with a player. Maybe you don't watch this guy a lot. Yards per carry for rushing is only, one game above 4.6. But the impact that he's having on that offense, he's making big runs. I think he had a 75-yard touchdown run in a preseason. I could be wrong. 3 rushing touchdowns already in the NFL through 5 games, 412 yards rushing. Yards per carry, 4.8, kind of skewed by that game against the Chargers, 14 carries for 131. Has an impact in a pass game as well. Does have 2 fumbles. But the way that he ran against Jacksonville and the impact and the hits that he was taking and just continuing to run through them or spin out, doesn't look like a guy who has fumble problems to me. You can let me know what you think in the comments section. These videos are normally meant to be like 5-minute videos for real. It's going to be hard for this one to be any lower than 6, 7, 8 minutes because there's so much to say about this run. It looks borderline unfair. It's like somebody tweeted out, it looks like a 15-year-old running against 12-year-olds. First of all, it's a log play, so the guard's going to pull. And then this deep, it's 11 personnel. So the Jags have walked one of their inside linebackers, Devin Lloyd, up to an edge position, which he played some edge defender at Utah. And they're in a bear front. So they got a 3, they got a nose, which is a 0, and a 3. And then they got two edge defenders in Lloyd, and then the Will over on the other side. He's probably considered a D end. And then Foye Oluokun playing the Mike. They have enough skill and enough physicality here to stop this play. Dameon Pierce is just special. He's a young, hungry lion. What shocks me is the amount of Jags players that are on the ground after contact with Dameon Pierce. Well, there was all these missed tackles, okay, but I'm talking about the guys who end up on the ground. There's 2 on the ground right now. There's a third, number 32, a 4th and a 5th, a 6th who's diving through. And if it's not for the last guy coming in to clean Dameon Pierce up, it almost looks like he's breaking out of this. I'm talking about number 32, who, credit to him, was actually on the ground at one point during this play. If he's not closing in to finish this off, Dameon Pierce probably scores on a 22-yard touchdown run that is one of the most unbelievable runs that I've seen since I've been watching football, closely. So that leads to us tied 6-all, by the way. This is a 12-play drive, began about 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Dameon Pierce isn't going to punch this. Well, he almost does punch this one in. Foye Oluokun, who's a great player, misses a tackle here. Or actually, there's a running back, number 34, who pins back on him. Watch this job by 34. 34 is going to help on this DB and then jump back inside to help out on Foye Oluokun, so Oluokun doesn't have a clean shot on Pierce. Gives Pierce a chance to actually try to score again. And 52 is able to hold him up and let the cavalry arrive. If 52 is not able to hold him up, he's probably in the end zone again. Looks like maybe there was a fumble on the play. I know something was reviewed. And then on the next play, he gets a score. Devin Lloyd ends up unblocked, tries to dive over a lineman's leg. It looks like a missed tackle, but he's got a lineman laying down underneath of him that kind of impedes his ability to use his feet, to try to drive Dameon Pierce back. Dameon Pierce actually runs into that DB, who he kind of ricochets off of into the end zone, makes it 13-6. Like I said, I think that was a 12-play drive, maybe a 14-play drive. He had 6 carries on that drive, and 2 of them were after that 20-yard run that I'm sure has been shown on all the highlight services. If you don't have a Dameon Pierce, well, who has a Dameon Pierce on their team in the NFL? If you don't have one, you want one. And the fact that he was drafted in the 4th round is what makes it even more unbelievable. So many teams passed on the guy. I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. You could say, hey, coach, you can draft running backs in the 4th round. You can eschew choosing a running back 1st, 2nd, 3rd round because you can get a guy like this in the 4th round. I don't think you get a guy like Dameon Pierce every year in the 4th round. I don't think they're just walking around. This is a special talent. His ability to play through contact And he even said in a post-game interview that he was real tired after that 20-yard run, but you see they still gave him the ball on the next two snaps. The Texans have something really interesting going on there, if you ask me. They got some incredible young talent. Derek Stingley, Dameon Pierce, Jalen Petre. Really like those guys as rookies. I think that the Texans had a great draft. Stingley and Petre was probably looked at the guys that would be, leading the team in terms of rookie impact. Dameon Pierce has kind of come out of nowhere over the course of training camp to the point where now through week 5 you expect some of these highlight or spectacular plays out of him. Let me know what you think of my breakdown of the play, his run, the Texans' style of offense, and the upset that they pulled off. I mean, for real. Them beating the Jags, I think, was an upset because the Jags played the Eagles tough. They bombed the Chargers. Whereas the Chargers, now I know NFL math doesn't work, but the Chargers were able to beat the Texans by 10, and the Jaguars bombed the Chargers. Like the Chargers tapped out like mid-third quarter, didn't want anymore. That's how physical and tough and aggressive the Jags front 6, front 7 is. And Dameon Pierce ran over them, ran around them, bounced off of them, spun off to his way to being, probably one of the guys who's looked at for being NFC or Rookie of the Week, if you ask me. Anyway, let me know what you think of my breakdown in the comment section, what you think of Dameon Pierce's performance with the Texans through 5 weeks of his rookie season.